A bit of a preface here. I was around 10 to 11 years old when this happened. Old enough to stay home alone, but not old enough to recognize some red flags. I attended camp over the summer, the typical 8 to 3 routine. My house sits close to the end of my street, which forms a U, but for some reason the bus driver would never just drop me off at my house. I would always get dropped off at the end of my street, where I would toddle myself along back home. Both my parents worked late hours, sometimes not getting home until 8 p.m., and it would be very expensive to hire a babysitter for 4 to 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. So, starting in 6th grade, when the bus dropped me off at home, I would be all by myself. I'd do the usual middle school routine, play games online and watch TV. Occasionally, my neighbor's cat would come into my backyard, and I would feed and pet her as a way to get outside. The only computer in the house was in my dad's workroom, which has a window overlooking the deck and a window overlooking the side of the house. We have large bay windows in the living room, dining room, and kitchen of my house, and since we sit on a hill, you can pretty much see the entire backyard from a nice vantage point. Most days when I got home, I'd toss off my backpack and go right to that room. You could see me walk from my front door and pop up by the computer from outside. Unfortunately, this would lead to something that I had forgotten about until now. When I got off the bus that day, I did as expected. I went into my dad's workroom and played some computer games. About 30 minutes into this, I could hear a faint meowing coming from the outside window. I paused the game to take a look outside, thinking maybe my neighbor's cat had wandered over once again. But there was nothing. I just sat back down and resumed playing, only to hear the meowing once again. It was quiet, but still noticeable, and so I checked the other window. Nothing again. This routine happened for a good 10 minutes. Eventually I got frustrated and went into the living room to watch TV. Not even 2 minutes later, meowing started coming from the window I was sitting right beside. Now I was confused and more than a little creeped out, so I shut the blinds tight and kept trying to watch TV. The meows continued, but only when they came from the window right behind me did I jump and leave the living room, officially skeeved. I went into my bathroom where the blinds were down, but still cracked a little for some sunlight. I tried to read a book, only to hear a meow come from outside my bedroom window. This was enough for me to call my dad, concerned that maybe the cat was hurt, but I couldn't see it to be sure. He said he would have the neighbor come check it out right away, and call me back later. 10 minutes go by, and I get a call from my dad saying that he was coming home from work. Nothing urgent in his voice, just that his job had gotten canceled for the day and he would come home early. I thought nothing of it. When he got home, I realized that the cat noises had stopped. Fast forward to the present, and I asked my dad about that strange incident, thinking it was funny because the cat had followed me around. What he told me next made my blood run cold. After I'd called him, my neighbor did indeed come to check on the house. What he found were large footprints, leading in circles all around the house, clustered close to the walls so that even if I looked outside, I wouldn't be able to see anything. Someone had been stalking me through my house, seeing where I was through the large windows, and making cat noises to try and get me to come outside. They must have known I was home alone, since it was easy to see me walk by myself down the street and let myself in. My neighbor immediately called my dad and searched the whole property, but he found no one. The police weren't called since there was nothing but footprints that led off into the woods and got lost, and I never saw anyone. My dad stayed home with me for the rest of the week, It sickens me to know that there are people who would use these tactics to try and lure kids from their homes, and from there do whatever they wanted with them.